Good morning, Alex and friends. I'm Grace. Today is Monday, July 20th, 2026, and you're listening to Alex's News. The high in Riverside is expected to reach 94 degrees Fahrenheit today, with a low of 70.6 degrees. Be sure to stay cool and drink plenty of water if you find yourself spending time outdoors. Coming up on today's program, we are breaking down the specific measures New York City health officials utilized to halt a deadly Legionnaires disease outbreak. We will also examine the circumstances surrounding the fatal flash floods in Utah and look into the formation of Tropical Storm Fausto. Aside from these topics, we have a variety of other stories to cover throughout the hour. There is a lot to discuss, so please stick around. All this and more coming up on Alex's News. Good morning. We're following a serious health story out of Manhattan this morning. A Legionnaires disease outbreak on the Upper East Side has now turned deadly. Ethan, what's the latest on the numbers?
Well, Grace, as of today, July 20th, the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene says 3 people have died. What's striking is the timing. Those fatalities were announced on 3 consecutive days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The total case count has now grown to 74 infections across the neighborhood.
3 deaths in 3 days. Was the case count climbing that quickly too?
It moved fast. According to The Guardian, PBS NewsHour citing the Associated Press, and ABC 7, 72 people had been diagnosed by Saturday night. At that point, 9 individuals remained hospitalized, while 50 had already been discharged. Then later updates from Patch and a health department statement confirmed the total rose to 74 by Sunday, July 19th.
Do we know anything about the people who've died?
The identities of the first and third victims haven't been released, but ABC 7 New York shared details about the second victim. He was an 88-year-old businessman and Air Force veteran living in Yorkville. He fell ill on July 2nd with a 104-degree fever, and he passed away on July 17th after 2 weeks in the ICU.
That's heartbreaking. What did his treatment involve during those 2 weeks?
It was intensive. ABC 7 reports he required intubation, a respirator, and bedside dialysis throughout that stretch. It really underscores how severe this illness can become, especially for older patients. Doctors describe Legionnaires as treatable, but for vulnerable people, it can escalate very quickly into something life-threatening.
So where is this bacteria actually coming from?
Health officials have linked the outbreak to cooling towers. Those are components of large building air conditioning systems, and they can release water vapor containing Legionella bacteria. According to The Guardian, tests found living or dead bacteria in the cooling towers of more than 75 buildings on the Upper East Side. That included apartment houses, private schools, and museums.
Museums? Any names we'd recognize?
Yes, and this one caught a lot of attention. The Guggenheim Museum was among 31 buildings that tested positive, according to The Guardian. It gives you a sense of just how widespread the contamination was across this neighborhood. These towers are common on rooftops throughout the city, so testing had to cover a wide footprint.
What are city officials doing to shut this down?
The city moved aggressively. New York City Health Commissioner Dr. Alistair F. Martin announced that 76 buildings were ordered to clean and disinfect their cooling towers. And importantly, Dr. Martin confirmed that all 76 buildings have now completed that work, so the remediation on those specific towers appears to be finished.
Is that enough, or are they asking for more citywide?
They're pushing further. Cooling tower operators across the entire city were reminded of their summertime requirement to increase the use of biocides, which kill the bacteria. Dr. Martin emphasized that the city will continue inspections going forward. He also made clear they'll hold any non-compliant owners accountable if they don't follow the rules.
Are we seeing any signs that the outbreak is slowing down?
The data is encouraging. According to The Guardian, the outbreak began with 2 confirmed cases on July 2nd, then peaked at an average of more than 8 new cases daily through July 8th. But between July 10th and July 17th, the rate dropped to fewer than 1 new infection per day, so the trend is clearly heading in the right direction.
That's a big drop. What does the commissioner make of it?
Dr. Martin credited what he called the, quote, aggressive strategy of testing, enforcement, and remediation, end quote. He said that approach appears to have stopped the source of exposure. In fact, he noted that source, quote, has likely been eliminated, end quote. So while cases can still surface, officials believe the window of exposure is closing.
For folks just hearing about this, how does someone actually catch Legionnaires?
It's important people understand this. As reported by PBS NewsHour and The Guardian, the CDC describes Legionnaires as a treatable but severe form of pneumonia. The bacteria thrive in warm, stagnant water, think hot tubs, shower heads, and those cooling towers. You contract it by inhaling contaminated droplets, and crucially, it does not spread from person to person.
So my neighbor can't give it to me. How dangerous is it once you have it?
That's right, there's no person-to-person transmission, so people shouldn't panic about casual contact. But the CDC notes that roughly 10% of patients die due to complications. That's why officials take these outbreaks so seriously, particularly for older adults or people with weakened immune systems. Early treatment really matters here.
Where does the name Legionnaires even come from?
There's a real history behind it. The New York City Health Department notes the disease is named after a 1976 outbreak in Philadelphia. It affected attendees of an American Legion convention, hence the name. And unfortunately, this isn't New York's first recent brush with it. In August of last year, a separate outbreak in Harlem sickened more than 100 people and resulted in 7 deaths.
So this is a recurring challenge for the city. What should people on the Upper East Side be watching for?
The main thing is awareness of symptoms, since it presents like pneumonia, with fever, cough, and shortness of breath. Anyone feeling ill, especially older residents, should seek care early because it is treatable when caught in time. And the good news is that with all 76 buildings remediated, officials believe the source is under control. They'll keep inspecting to make sure it stays that way.
That's reassuring to hear. Ethan, thanks so much for walking us through all of it this morning.
My pleasure, Grace. We'll keep tracking the numbers and bring you any updates.
Good morning. We're following 2 serious weather stories today, and both are heartbreaking and urgent. Let's start in Utah, where a family vacation turned into unspeakable tragedy. Our reporter Chloe has been tracking this. Chloe, what happened out there?
Good morning, Grace. It's a devastating story. According to the Associated Press, WWSB, and other outlets, 5 members of a single family were killed when a flash flood swept through a scenic Red Rock Canyon in southern Utah. This happened on Friday, July 17th, just 3 days ago. The family had gone out for what should have been a beautiful day in the canyon.
5 people from one family. Do we know who they were?
We do, and their names are being shared widely now. The victims were identified through a GoFundMe page and a social media post by the Provo Fire Department. They are Spencer Long, a captain with the Provo Fire Department, his wife Katrina Long, and their 3 sons, Reed, Thane, and Gage. Katrina Long was also noted by Summit Medical Spa on Facebook as the co-founder of a medical spa, so this was a family deeply woven into their community.
That's just gutting. Was anyone in the family spared?
Yes, and it's a small mercy in an otherwise unbearable loss. The family's daughter was not on the trip that day, so she survived. I can't imagine what she's going through right now, losing both parents and all 3 brothers in a single afternoon. The community in Provo has rallied around her, which is part of why that GoFundMe page went up so quickly.
Tell us about where this happened. It sounds like a remote spot.
It was a day excursion to the Sunglow Campground, which sits near Bicknell, Utah, along State Route 24. This is classic southern Utah country, the kind of red rock landscape people travel from all over to see. But those same canyons can be deadly when heavy rain moves in. The Wayne County Sheriff's Office says the family is believed to have fallen victim to flooding caused by heavy rains.
Flash floods in canyons are notoriously fast. How did the recovery effort unfold?
It was harrowing, Grace. The recovery began Friday night after the body of a young male was discovered in a floodwash around 5 o'clock in the afternoon local time. From there, crews worked to locate the rest of the family. The remaining members were recovered late Friday and throughout Saturday, so this stretched over more than a day of searching through difficult, water-scoured terrain.
And this wasn't the only flood-related loss in the region, was it?
No, it wasn't. The National Weather Service noted that flooding in Texas, along with flash flooding in Utah and Arizona, contributed to a total of 8 deaths across the United States. So while this one family accounts for 5 of those deaths, the wider region was hit hard by the same weather system. Summer monsoon rains in the desert Southwest can turn dry washes into raging torrents in just minutes, and that's exactly the danger people face this time of year.
A question a lot of people will ask, was there any warning in place before the flood hit?
That's the difficult part, Grace, and I want to be careful here. Research into the National Weather Service alert archives and emergency management records did not yield specific evidence about whether a formal flash flood watch or warning was in effect for the Sunglow campground or the Bicknell area immediately before the event. So at this point, we simply can't confirm what alerts, if any, were active in that exact location. It's something investigators and meteorologists will likely be looking into as they piece together the timeline.
That uncertainty must be painful for the family and the community. Chloe, let's turn to the second story you've been watching, because there's another weather threat brewing. What can you tell us about Tropical Storm Fausto?
That's right. At the same time all this is unfolding in Utah, the Associated Press, the National Hurricane Center, and Saratoga Weather are reporting the formation of Tropical Storm Fausto off the Pacific coast of Mexico. As of today, July 20th, the storm is centered near 12.9 north, 115.6 west. That places it roughly 682 nautical miles south-southwest of the southern tip of Baja California. So it's well out over open water right now, but forecasters are watching it closely.
How strong is Fausto at the moment?
Right now, it's a solid tropical storm. It has maximum sustained winds of 50 knots, which is roughly 60 miles per hour, with gusts reaching up to 60 knots. The estimated minimum central pressure is 996 millibars, and it's on the move, tracking west-northwest at about 10 to 12 miles per hour. Those are the kinds of numbers that tell forecasters this system has room to grow.
You mentioned it could grow. Where is it expected to head next?
The projections show a gradual turn toward the northwest through Tuesday, July 21st, which is tomorrow. After that, forecasters expect a slight slowdown on Wednesday, then an increase in forward speed later in the week. To give you a sense of the track, the storm is projected to reach 15.9 north, 119.9 west by Tuesday afternoon. Then by Thursday morning, it's forecast to be near 17.3 north, 125.2 west.
So it's moving away from land, but the strength is the real concern?
Exactly, Grace. Forecasters expect steady to rapid strengthening over the coming days. In fact, the National Hurricane Center is projecting that Fausto will become a hurricane on the night of July 20th, which is tonight. So even though its current track keeps it away from populated coastlines for now, this is a system that's intensifying quickly. That's why meteorologists don't take their eyes off storms like this, because the forecast can shift.
And I understand Fausto isn't the only system out there right now.
That's correct. While all this is happening in the Pacific, there's a separate tropical depression continuing to swirl in the Gulf of Mexico. So we've essentially got activity on 2 fronts, one off the Pacific coast of Mexico and another in the Gulf. It's a reminder that we're now well into the heart of the season, and conditions are ripe for these systems to form and organize.
For folks watching either of these situations, what should they keep in mind?
I'd say 2 things, Grace. For anyone in the desert Southwest, the Utah tragedy is a sobering reminder that flash floods can arrive with terrifying speed, even when skies overhead look clear. Rain miles away can send walls of water down a canyon. And for those along or traveling near Mexico's Pacific coast and Baja California, keep an eye on Fausto's development, because a storm that's expected to become a hurricane tonight deserves respect. Stay tuned to official updates from the National Weather Service and the National Hurricane Center.
That's really sound advice. Before we go, is there anything more we expect to learn about the Utah family in the coming days?
I think we'll continue to see the community response grow, particularly around that GoFundMe effort supporting the surviving daughter. The Provo Fire Department has clearly been hit hard by the loss of Captain Spencer Long, one of their own. And as I mentioned, there may be more scrutiny on the warning timeline, whether any alerts were issued for the Bicknell area before the flooding. For now, the focus is on honoring the Long family and supporting those they left behind.
Chloe, thank you for walking us through both of these stories with such care. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Grace. I'll keep tracking both developments and bring you updates as we learn more.
That's Chloe reporting for us this morning. We'll have continuing coverage of the Utah flooding and Tropical Storm Fausto throughout the day, so stay with us. Here are some other headlines. The UK government is forging a new path with the nationalization of British steel, but the Chinese company Gemini Group isn't exactly feeling the warmth of the furnace. After the government stepped in on July 17, 2026, to protect national interests and save thousands of jobs, Gemini is demanding compensation. They claim this move has tarnished the government's credibility and spooked international investors. The company is now preparing to iron out these grievances through bilateral investment agreements, and may even pursue international arbitration. Meanwhile, the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs suggests this metal-clad dispute could influence how investors view the British environment, urging a respect for market principles. This all comes after the government took operational control to save the Scunthorpe plant, where approximately 2,700 people produce virgin steel. Over in the States, Vice President J.D. Vance and Second Lady Usha have a new addition to their family tree. They welcomed their fourth child, Alec Neil Vance, on Sunday, July 19, 2026. It is a truly historic delivery, as Alec is the first baby born to a sitting vice president in over 150 years. The little guy joins older siblings Yuan, aged 9, Vivek, aged 6, and Mirabelle, aged 4. President Donald Trump called the baby boy perfect on Truth Social. The parents expressed their heartfelt thanks to the medical teams at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center and the White House for ensuring a healthy arrival. In the world of cinema, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey has sailed into the box office with epic proportions. The film raked in a global total of $264,100,000 during its debut, consisting of $124,500,000 domestically and $139,600,000 overseas. It is Nolan's biggest opening since The Dark Knight Rises, and an absolute odyssey of success. The production, which cost $250 million to make and another $125 million to market, set a new high for IMAX, bringing in $51,800,000 globally. It seems audiences are really scaling up their movie-going habits, with industry ticket sales running 10.4% ahead of last year. Finally, across the pond, Andy Burnham is stepping up to the plate as the new United Kingdom Prime Minister today, July 20, 2026. He succeeds Keir Starmer, who is heading to Buckingham Palace to formally resign to King Charles III. Burnham, who secured the Labour Party leadership on July 17 with 379 nominations from 403 lawmakers, is the seventh Prime Minister since the Brexit vote. He plans to bring some northern exposure to the office by splitting his time between London and Manchester, where he'll establish a northern number 10 to promote devolution. He's promising to make politics less toxic and improve living standards, though he is still deciding who will fill the top roles in his cabinet. That's all we have for now. Today's episode was made by Alexander King with Claude Opus 4.8, Gemini Pro 3.1, Gemini Flash 3, and Google Cloud Text-to-Speech. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow, Alex.